Hey guys, so welcome back to another video. So today we are continuing the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, chapter 8, The Adventure of the Speckled Band. So in part 2 we stopped till here. Sorry guys, I got cough. So in part 2 we stopped till here. So this is part 3 and we'll continue from there. We met him, said the detective, and narrated the events to her in detail. Miss Toner was horrified and remarked that she was never safe from him. She was worried of his reaction when he returned. Sherlock assured her that if her stepfather was cunning, he had met his match now. He also advised her to lock herself in her room that night. If at all he tries to harm her, then she can go to her aunt. Miss Toner agreed and showed us around. Sherlock asked her the reason she was sleeping in her sister's room. She said that there were some repairs in her room which she thought were unnecessary and may have been just a reason to shift her into her sister's room. We inspected her room first and then her sister's room. Sherlock went out of the window and asked her to close the window. Then he tried to pry open the window in an attempt to see if there could have been any intruder. But all his attempts were in vain. Then he dropped on the floor with his magnifying glass and then started inspecting the floor. Even there he found no success. Finally, he looked around and asked Helen about the bell rope that was hanging there. She said it was to call for the maid, but was never used as they had a habit of doing their chores themselves. Sherlock found that the rope was a dummy and did not connect to any kind of bell. It was in fact attached to a ventilator. Helen told us that these were the new additions that had been added about 2 years ago. Sherlock stated that there was no point in adding ventilator between two rooms. We then went into the doctor's room to examine it. It was larger than the other two rooms and was plainly furnished. A camp bed, a shelf full of books, an armchair, and a large iron safe was all there in that room. Sherlock asked Miss Toner about the contents of her safe, and she replied that her stepfather's business papers were kept there. Sherlock pointed to a saucer of milk and asked if there was a cat, but she said there only had a cheetah and a baboon in the house. Sherlock bent down and saw a dog leash that hung on one corner of the bed. It was curled and looked like a loop of whipcord. We then went out in the lawn after walking up and down several times. Sherlock told the lady to follow her at his advice to the letter. After he had completed the examination, he told our host that we'll be spending the night in her room. We decided that we would stay at the village inn till midnight, when the doctor would retire for the night, sneak into the young lady's room and spend the night hopefully solving the mystery in process. Sherlock and I left in a manner before the ill-tempered doctor arrived. We rented a room from where we could clearly see the window of our client. Sherlock then asked me to pack my gun, as we could get in a lot of danger from our window. We saw the doctor arrive at the house, and we heard him roar at the boy who opened the gate. I asked Sherlock what he had deduced from the inspection in the morning. I saw nothing more remarkable than the bell rope. I must confess the purpose of it is something that I cannot imagine. As for the ventilator, I knew before we had arrived that we would find such a ventilator in the room. How? I said. Do you remember the young lady told us that her sister could smell cigars her stepfather was smoking? It had to be an opening that could carry the smell across the room, and if it was a big one, it would have been noticed by now. Hence, I assumed it was a ventilator. Sherlock explained his deduction. Did you find anything peculiar about the bed, Watson? Sherlock asked. I do not recall anything that seemed strange to me, I replied. Knowing well, Sherlock had not only seen something, but he had also connected it to the rope and ventilator. So that's it for this part of chapter 8, The Adventure of the Speckled Band. So from the adventures of Sherlock Holmes. So I hope you like this video. See you in the next video. Bye.